So my Daniel Sapp moment is Bible drill back in high school, and it was raining and we were going on our way to our competition, and my hair got wet and I was upset, and Daniel made fun of me for my hair getting flat and wet. So he kept bringing it up over the next few years, but one Christmas he ended up giving me a big bag of combs and just jokingly for my flat wet hair.
Okay, I'm not going to share a particular Daniel Sapp moment. I just want to say a couple of things about Daniel. Dealing with youth and college kids for many years, and this whole group of knuckleheads that Sapp was a part of, have many memories, and I'll take a lot of those stories and just keep them in my mind and my heart. Do want to say one thing: Daniel was as caring and had as big of a heart as any person you'd ever want to meet on this earth. His goal in life was to pull successful pranks on me. Every now and then I would let him succeed just to make his day. Love Daniel Sapp to death. He has meant a lot to me over the years, and you'll be dearly missed, Daniel.
All right, so one time me and Josh and Amy and Jeff and Katie took a trip to Miami, and Daniel couldn't go, so we told him we were going to Virginia. And anyway, while we were gone, he decided to box Jeff's car, and so we decided we'll save the boxes and we'll get them back. And the night before he left to go to Malaysia, we boxed the truck, and we were in the middle of doing it. Miss Melanie comes out and she's like, "What are y'all doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're boxing the truck." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then, so she turns on the light for us and goes back inside. And yeah, and
Hi, my Daniel Sapp moment is when he calls out of the blue one time a few years ago and asked me to go to the Hines BSU formal. And I was like, sure. I mean, Daniel and I have always been good friends. And he picks me up that night. Everything's going fine. And then he says, so I have something to tell you. And I'm like, okay. And he said, well, see, what happened is I accidentally asked out Katie Johnson to the winter formal too. And so it made it hilarious. And so we had to we picked up Katie too. And so the whole night he was calling us date 1 and date 2. But it had to be interchangeably because we couldn't decide which one was 1 and which one was 2. And I feel as if, honestly, I was number 1.
My best Daniel Sapp moment was on a trip that we took to Slitterbahn in Texas, and I brought along some chemical that I got from my dad that I would put on people's bottoms, and the fumes would burn them. And so my dad talked me into doing this to Daniel, and you're only supposed to put a little bit on there, but I put a little bit on there. And after we realized what had happened, we told him that he needed to go outside and put his butt in the air so the sun would evaporate the fumes and it would go away, it wouldn't hurt him so bad. Well, of course, he didn't believe us, thought we were trying to trick him, and he said, well, if I put my butt in there, it's going to hurt me even worse. Didn't listen to us, didn't do what we said. The next thing I know, he's sitting at his table and he's pouring a cup of ice down his pants because he was going commando. I didn't know that, and so it hurt him a little bit more than it probably should. I never apologized for it. I don't really feel bad because everybody got a really good laugh out of it, but I haven't done it to anybody since. So that's the best moment.
I don't really have one story for Daniel. I mean, every time you saw the guy, he always had a smile on his face. He's always making somebody laugh. So many stories, I mean, from being here at the English's house, smacking against the side of the house with the swing, the fat suits up on stage in church, going to play paintball, tying him up, locking him in a closet. That's pretty fun. He's just a great guy, and I'm going to miss him a lot.
When I try to think of my favorite Daniel moment, it's so hard to pick just one. I met Daniel in high school, and my first thought was, who is this goofy kid and why is he in my house? But like it was with most of us, the more I got to know Daniel, the more he grew on me. His smile, his laughter, his pure-heartedness were contagious. He has forever changed my heart, and I know he will continue to shine his light through all of us. When I am doubtful, I'll remember his unwavering faith and positivity. When I am sad, I will remember his goofiness. And when I miss my friend, I will remember all of the wonderful times we had together. I'm glad you walked into my life. I love you, brother.
Daniel Sapp is one of the best men I've ever known in my life. He radiates happiness everywhere he goes. I don't think there's a person he's ever encountered that didn't feel that infectious kindness and joy and faith. And he was the most generous person, in his own way, with his emotions and with being there for you. I have a million Daniel Sapp moments, and every single one is just as important as the last. I love you with all my heart, Daniel. Brother.
Oh, one of my best Daniel Sapp moments was Daniel's over here in his little Mitsubishi Spider, his little car. Had a big pewter LSU tag on it, and he's always bragging all the time about LSU. So while the other students had him busy, I put my Mississippi State tag on the front of his car and took his LSU tag off. And it was about 2 weeks later before Daniel, after riding all over town, knew that it was even on there. So that was pretty funny because he was kind of oblivious to some things at times. So that was one good moment.
My Daniel Sapp moment is when we went to a student ministry conference with the Beaumar Baptist Youth Group to Chicago. On the way to Chicago, I took Daniel Sapp's airline ticket out of his backpack and hid it from him. And he was about to get left until he found his ticket in the back of his Bible. And he basically paid me back by hiding my ticket on the way back. So we were even.
Alright, so I have thousands of Daniel Sapp moments, but the one that started the term Daniel Sapp moment was this. One day on Daniel's birthday, I think it was back 2003, me, him, and Kelly were all hanging out at his house, having a little pillow fight. Then one thing, Daniel walked into the dining room and just stood there and said, "Hey Josh, free shot, throw the pillow." So of course, picked up the pillow, threw it. Daniel moved out of the way, and the pillow hit Mrs. Melanie's family Christmas china set. Broke plates and little cups to pieces. So the next thing, Kelly says, we need glue. We need to glue it back together. So me and Daniel, we took glue and we were gluing all the pieces together. And we were so close to having it all together before Miss Melanie came home. We had it all put together. The cups were hanging on the top. We had one cup that was being hard-headed and would not glue together. It would keep sticking to our fingers. Miss Melanie came home. She walked by it one time, looked at it and said, Daniel, what happened to my china set? Of course, then we told her, and later on, after I left, she came to Daniel and said, Daniel, this better not be one of those Josh and Daniel moments that you tell everyone about. Sorry, Miss Melanie, it was. And that's why the term, or where the term, Daniel Sapp moment came from. I love you, brother, and I'll miss you terribly.